Netball time now on the SportsMax zone. The Netball Jamaica Seprod Elite League concluded on Sunday, and once again, the Manchester Spurs are champions, defeating the St. Anne Orchids after taking an unassailable 2-game lead in the best-of-3 series. Gerard Morris-Seeley has a recap.
The Netball Jamaica Elite Roundup is brought to you by Powerade and Water. Manchester Spurs entered Sunday's Game 2 knowing a win would secure the title following Friday's win over the Orchids. But the Spurs got off to a shaky start. St. Anne Orchids pushed them at the start of the first quarter. Goal shooter Sabrina Spence leading the early scoring for the Orchids, who raced to a 4-2 lead. But the Spurs would gain momentum with goal attack Shanice Bedford producing some sublime movement and support for goal shooter Chantal Slater, both combining well to put Manchester Spurs in the lead. They ended the first quarter with the upper hand, leading the Orchids 15-11. Second quarter and the intensity continued. The Manchester Spurs extended their dominance, scoring with relative ease. Slater, the league's most accurate shooter, proving her worth, scoring with precision. She led the halftime score for the Spurs with 19 goals from 23 attempts. The Orchids found it difficult to convert, and goal shooter Sabrina Spence, the league-leading goal scorer, was replaced by Audacia Johnson. Johnson scored 4 from 5, but the second quarter ended in favor of the Spurs, who took a 27-20 lead at halftime. After the halftime break, the Spurs continued pressing on, and with the game slipping, Orchids coach reintroduced leading scorer Sabrina Spence. Spence was instrumental in mounting a fight back, and in the fourth quarter, she led the line as Orchids closed the gap and set up a nail-biting finish. But it was too little, too late, as the Spurs hung on for a Game 2 victory and secured the title, winning 50-48. Chantal Slater finished top scorer with 42 goals from 47 attempts for the Spurs. Sabrina Spence, she ended with 36 from 45 for the St. Anne Orchids. Orchids coach Kurt Dale said he regrets not putting Spence back in the game a bit earlier.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I think when we took her out, it kind of changed the momentum a bit. With OJ coming in at goal shooter, she really lifted the energy and brought some speed into the attack, which was needed at the time. Maybe we could have brought Sabrina back a little bit earlier, but she came back and she did a fantastic job. And credits to her, she's a veteran. She's been in every single Elite League Finals. She has brought her team to every single Elite League Finals so far. So she's a superstar, and we are happy that we have her with us.
In the meantime, Finals MVP Shanice Beckford was elated with her team's success.
I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I mean, it's my birthday. I could have asked for nothing else. So I'm happy. I'm happy that we came out with the win. So I'm just excited. It's netball. The ball is round. We have to have expectations. So I know that the St. Anne Orchids would just go down like that. I know they will come back hard, especially in the next half. And my team tend to dwindle down at the end, but we wanted it, so we stick to the task and came out victorious. We lost our first match in the rounds because I wasn't there. I will take it because I wasn't. It was my duty to come back in and ensure that we were in the finals and actually lifting the title on the second day.
St. Catherine Racers collected their prize of $100,000 for finishing third. The St. Anne Orchids for their second place finish pocketed $250,000, while champions Manchester Spurs collected $500,000 Jamaican dollars. The individual awards: Sabrina Spence, the top goal scorer; Chantal Slater, the most accurate shooter; and Finals MVP Shanice Beckford.
Yeah, so good result there for the Spurs. Chapo, we heard you on commentary. There was a moment in the fourth quarter that we thought maybe the Orchids would have pushed this into a Game 3. Really, Spurs had to be strong in the closing minutes.
Yeah, I think they did. They definitely did. For me, the difference in both games, not just game number 2, but across both games, and I think when you look at the entire tournament, maybe for the entire tournament as well, was the shooting accuracy of the Manchester Spurs team, specifically Chantal Slater. She shot 89.3% in the second game on Sunday, which was significantly better than any other shooter in that match. Now, that is significant for me because coming into the finals, coming into the playoffs, Slater was shooting at 90.5%, and she was the only player shooting 90% or better. A lot of the other shooters, unfortunately, in the 70s and in some cases in the 60s as well. No, you're not going to win many netball games against top quality opposition if you're shooting in the 60s and in the 70s. Now, I don't know if I've said this before, but I strongly believe that a massive part of Jamaica's turnaround, let's say at the Commonwealth Games last year, was the shooting accuracy of Janelle Fowler. It makes a difference when you know that every single time, or at least very close to it, the ball gets into the shooting circle, it is going to be put away. Now, the Orchids had their opportunities, and I said this on commentary yesterday, that if the St. Anne Orchids had a Janelle Fowler in that shooting circle, they win that game yesterday.
Yes.
They had the opportunities. They consistently got the ball into the circle. Their goalkeeper, Susan Douglas, was outstanding. I think she's unfortunate to have left yesterday without picking up some award, because for me, she was outstanding, especially in yesterday's second game. The number of intercepts that she had, or deflections that she had, was noteworthy. But again, when the ball got into the shooting circle, the St. Anne Orchid shooters did not take care of it consistently enough. And Sabrina Spence is a quality shooter.
Yes.
But 70s, shooting in the 70s is just not good enough at this level. And Chantal Slater's ability to shoot in the 90s made a difference for the Manchester Spurs. And she had 42 from 47 lands. And the truth is, a number of her misses came in the power play periods because they had, well, an invention, essentially, where the last 3 minutes of each quarter you can shoot 2-pointers from a certain range. And in attempting to go for a few 2-pointers, she missed during the power play. Outside of that, her numbers would have been even better than the 89.3%.
I want to suggest, though, Ricardo, that the way you're glorifying Chantal Slater and how she performed in this tournament with her accuracy.
Don't say glorify, but okay.
But you have. You have. I'm just saying that she also played in the Vitality League in England, some pro netball some years ago.
Yes.
And the fact that she isn't a part of the Jamaica Sunshine Girls setup tells you about the current depth of the Jamaican game. Yeah,
it sure does. So she is also coming off the birth of her child. So that as well, and it was just late last year, I think. So it's a really quick turnaround for her. It's fantastic that after childbirth she's able to perform at this level so quickly, and you can still see that she is not at peak fitness just yet. She still has somewhere to go in that department. But yes, she was head and shoulders above any of the shooters that we saw in the Elite League this time around. But yes, you are right, Lance. The depth of Jamaica's shooting right now is great, because you have Janelle Fowler at the top of it. There is Romelda Aiken. There is Shimona Nelson. In fact, there's going to be a massive discussion in the weeks and months to come.
Ahead of Worlds.
Ahead of the World Cup.
Yes.
Does Romelda Aiken make this Jamaica team? Does she make this Jamaica team? Will the coaching staff decide to take 3 goal shooters and may restrict them to just Shanice Beckford in a goal attack position? No, Shanice Beckford is outstanding, but as we saw in England when she got injured, no, you have to be dropping in somebody else. So do you take the risk of taking her as the only out-and-out goal attack?
Well, Romelda is coming off childbirth herself. Back in the Suncorp Super League now, playing for the NSW Swifts, they acquired her with Samantha Wallace, the Trinidadian, with an ACL injury that kept her out of last season. She still isn't back to fitness yet to play, but Romelda is there shooting very well for the NSW Swifts at the moment in the Suncorp League.
Yes, she is. But I think this is going to be a real debate, Lance, as to whether Romelda makes the World Cup team. I think it has to be, and I think it will be a very tough decision for Connie Francis and Sean Murdoch, who is the assistant coach. And I can't wait to see what they decide to do come World Cup time. Because here's the thing. I'm not a massive believer in this twin tower.
Yeah.
Romelda and Janelle Fowler
Yes.
operating together. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens.
Break time. Back with more on the zone after this.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news, and entertainment.